you didn't sign a client in the first 30 days, you would actually kill yourself.
Yeah. You are only as good, not where your dreams are, but where the minimum expectation of yourself lies. I collected 50 grand in a day. I felt nothing. I have no idea, but no one is going to go as hard as I will.
Welcome back, everybody, to another sit down. I'm my boy, Luke Alexandron. How we doing, man?
Amazing, bro. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I know we are catching the sunset right now, so we're going to make it as efficient as possible as we can with our time here. So, posted up in Miami. Met you actually last night in person for the first time. Great dude so far, and I have a bunch of friends that speak very highly of you. So
I'm glad. I
wanted to have you on and just honestly chop it up for a minute. I want to go into your background. I know you came from welfare and now multi 7 figures by 23, 24. So go ahead and give people a little bit of an intro.
Yeah, so I'll give them the speed run. I'm from a place where there's no opportunity. It's like the poorest county in Ohio, Southern Ohio. So not Columbus, not Cincinnati. It's basically Kentucky. Grew up with no internet, which is, Champ finds that to be the funniest part of the story ever. Literally no internet, couldn't get it if I wanted to. Abusive dad, the whole single mom thing after police removed him. So it was a pretty humble beginning, but molded, I think, everything that I do now into a pretty well molded way.
Well-rounded individual, I'd say.
I'm trying.
It's all we can do. But I remember I was listening to one of your other podcasts with somebody, and I remember the story you told of you were basically down to your last $500, right? Mm-hmm. And you didn't want to go to college at the time. You were in college, and rent was due. Mm. That $500 evaporated really quickly, and then you were down to $0. So, what was that moment like when you had no more money and you were dropping out of college when everybody thought you were going to be just lost forever?
I mean, it's scary, bro. I wasn't going to go home, so I dropped out of school with $500, and then it was the last dollar that I had to pay the rent of the place because my car blew up. So the only car I had, it literally like physically blew up, like smoke, everything. So I couldn't drive somewhere to go get an apartment, and this is Dayton, Ohio, so it's kind of trenches anyway. So the only option I had was this apartment across the street. It was called the Province, and I talked them into letting me move into a unit that had flooded like a week before. It had drywall everywhere. I basically made a deal because I knew I couldn't pass like a background income verification of like, hey, if you let me move in, I'll clean it up. I won't complain. Just don't check my income. Don't check my credit score. Don't check any of that. And somehow I guess that was the first deal I closed. And moved in. And then that whole next 30 days, it was literally zero. So I had like negative $7 in my bank account. I was trying to figure out, get a client or, there's no plan B. I kind of put myself as far into a wall as you could, and I wasn't going to go home.
Yeah, you were saying in that story too, I was listening, that you pretty much made a deal with yourself. If you didn't sign a client in the first 30 days, you would actually kill yourself.
Yeah. It sounds mad dramatic.
Yeah. So what made you come to that realization or just set that standard for yourself?
Well, I mean, bro, like if you want to be really, really, really great at something, and I did, and I was coming from probably one of the hardest starting points that I think you could, it's a complete uphill battle, and you're not going to win that battle by like being hopeful or by being like, oh, I'll kind of try. It's got to be full-fledged, everything you have against getting to that goal, or you're not going to make it because the odds are slim in itself at the beginning. So I knew that then, and I was like, I'm not going to move back home. I'm not going to go be shameful and be like, Mom, I told you I would get us out, and now I got to come live with you again. I wasn't going to do that. So I'm not a suicidal person. I think that's like a very cowardly thing to do, at least for myself. But it was the worst thing that I could think of because of the shame that I would have doing that, leaving my mom, my brother, whoever. And people hear this maybe sound dramatic, which it does. But I was so serious. Like it was either you sign a client, you pay rent, you fight for another 30 days, or game over. And then you're full of shame, and that's your story. That's what you die with.
Now, during that 30 days, I know there's a bunch of people watching this that don't have any clients currently or trying to get their first couple, right? So in those 30 days when your back was completely up against the wall, what did you do to ensure that you were going to sign a client?
I did everything wrong. I didn't know what I was doing, bro. I didn't have any education. I didn't have a course. I didn't have any coaching. So I was sending mass DMs. I didn't even know what service I was selling. I was trying to sell funnels, website design, let me run your ads, to every niche imaginable. I literally did everything that you could do wrong in the book. And sent thousands of DMs to where I was banned on Instagram from sending DMs. So I would have to make a new profile, and it was a mess. But I literally, the 29th or the 30th, because in May there's 31 days. And I remember I was like 2 days away, and I was stressed out. I was like, I'm not going to get this. And then I signed one client. Guess how much he paid me? $500. Guess how much my rent was? $500. So I survived, but then I still had $0. But I lived to fight another day.
Okay, I love that story. It's just so unique. So many people never get to that rock bottom moment
Yeah.
that you were at, and you pulled it off. Now, over that next month into June at that point then, how did you get your next client and go from there and build up?
So I got a couple referrals from this guy. He had a fishing company. So it was like a fishing reel bearings company. So he gave me a couple referrals. I think I made like $1,000. And then he gave me a couple referrals. Then I made like $1,500 or $2,000. And then that spiraled into building sort of an info product agency. I made enough money to where I could buy coaching, and I bought Up Level by Sam Ovens, and I think like 2019 or 2020. And then that's where I learned about, you can, like, people build info products and they sell programs. And I saw them going on, like, getting into this scene. Like, I saw that, and I tell a story. I see Iman, Sab, all these guys selling programs, and I was like, why don't I just work with people like that instead of these, like, business owners that don't know why they need ads, they don't know why they need XYZ, and then spiraled into building that, and yeah.
So now I know you have, of course, Closer Cartel, as well as Complacency that you acquired from Alex.
Yeah.
But recently, you've been talking about something called an IPO, and you're getting a lot of hate from it for certain people, but as well, a lot of people that also I respect are saying it's going to be the next best thing. So do you want to break that down for people that don't know what that is?
Yeah, so I reached a point, obviously I wasn't a closer forever, right? What did I do? I started an info product company. But what most people can't do is start an info product company. You have to have the look, and regardless of whether you want to be nice or not, you have to have the look, you have to speak the certain way, you have to have the come up story. Like Iman, Belmar, Tate, myself, everyone you know has the same come up story. And it was real, but you can't fake that. That's a real integral part of like that figure of leading people online. So I started an info product company when I maxed out sales. I was making 20, 30K a month. I was like, I want to do more. I'd already moved to Miami. I was like, I need 100,000 a month. I need 200,000 a month. Like, I can't do it with sales. It's mathematically impossible. So I started an info product company. So we came to the realization about a month ago, I have all these kids that we've made successful making $30,000, $40,000 a month. And they ask me, like, what do I do next? And I never had a good answer because I can't be like, go sell a sales course. Like, that's not a real answer. It's not real advice. So the logical step is, if you can't do it yourself, why don't you just help other people sell theirs? You basically white label their brand, white label their face, white label their product. So they have the traffic already, and you plug in sales systems, operations in the back end, because there's a very real science to sales that a lot of people don't understand. They're not good at it, especially like Woody's good at it, but Woody's one in a million guys that sells Amazon and knows the sales process, right? There's a million people that don't. So I was literally sitting in my house at like 2 a.m. on a Thursday night, and I was pissed off. I was like, why are we not making the money I want to be making? And then it like clicked, and I was like, oh my God, why don't we just teach people to do this? Because we've already done it for our team. So my sales manager is now managing KT Hustles. He's going to probably get a good percentage of the company. Not like equity because it's info, but cash flow. He's making 40K a month. These two other young kids on my team, 20, 30K a month. My old videographer, 30K a month. So we've already proved it. So now we're going to validate it with an outside market. And I think it's going to be massive because SMMA doesn't really work like it did. No one wants to work with an agency. I know I don't. Like, it's just not desirable. The whole growth, partnering, consulting people, they're doing it wrong in my opinion. And that's opinion. But I think this is the most leveraged, simple, high-value skill that you can bring to a company and actually make $30, $40, $50, even $100,000 a month. And we're now working with the beta group. We're going to get them results first, and then we're going to launch this probably, I don't know, early summer and do it the right way.
Yeah, I mean, I love that pivot from just right now you were doing the regular sales stuff and people were just doing agencies. And now this is something that's fresh in the market.
It is.
And I think that people are going to crush it with it because, I mean, you know more than anybody else here, all the closers and all the sales guys are hungry for some sort of offer.
Yep.
And as soon as you can plug them into something that's already a good offer and dial in those systems, I mean, it's pretty much game over at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Woody literally told me, and I didn't even know this because we have so many students now, a kid that he got from our program has closed like $6 million for him. That's crazy.
Really?
But now what does that kid do? Does he keep being a closer? Well, no, you got to evolve at some point, right? It's the best place to start, but what got you here isn't going to get you there. So IPO is the next logical step. So now it goes setter, closer, IPO. And it's a beautiful evolution into your skill set. And you're using the same skill set that you had as a closer and seeing the back end that you're already watching as a closer, but now you're just doing it in a more leveraged way. So now watch everybody copy this,
100%.
like usual, but it's fine.
Come back here in a year and see how many people are actually doing this, right?
Yeah.
But that's awesome. That's awesome. I wanted to touch on a point too in terms of, you've had to go through so many different points of updating your mindset, updating and breaking through certain perhaps limiting beliefs to get to where you're at right now, right? So you have a quote of saying that you cannot surpass yourself as you see yourself. So it's basically saying like you can't excel past the version of how you view yourself.
Exactly.
Now, why is that so important? When did you come to that realization, and how do you think impactful that is in your life?
Well, every step of my journey, every step of everybody else's journey, you eventually hit a ceiling, right? Whether it's you max out sales, you max out your agency, you max out whatever, and then you're like, well, what's next? And like I just said it, what got you here isn't going to get you there. You always have to be improving and evolving and changing. And I went down the self-development rabbit hole because, bro, like I didn't learn any of this. I wasn't raised in a way where I learned this stuff. So I didn't know anything. So learning like who Tony Robbins was like mind-blowing. Learning like, the book The Secret and like Think and Grow Rich blew my mind. I was like, this is a thing? Like what? So I went down the rabbit hole, and through my own like trials, I've come to the realization that you are only as good, not where your dreams are, but where the minimum expectation of yourself lies. So if right now, I'm a 7-figure guy, right? If I visualize myself as a $100 million guy, I won't be satisfied, one, until I get there, but two, I have to continually, every single day, I have to have the actions and the behaviors and the habits of the $100 million guy. So you have to act like the guy now to then become the guy. You don't act like a 7-figure guy and then go make 100 million. It doesn't work that way. It's not how the world works. So you have to set that bar, and it's not where your dreams are. It's not where the North Star is. What is the bare minimum standard, like your KPI, that you're going to hold yourself accountable to? Because we don't fall forward, right? You don't fall up to your goal. You fall down to the level of expectation in which you set for yourself.
I love how you worded that too, because that was actually something I talked about with Justin Waller earlier.
Yeah.
The whole point of setting expectations to a level that you want to step into the man of your, not dreams, because that's kind of weird.
Well, it is, right? It's who is your dream role model? It should be your future self, like 100%. Like visualize yourself in the future. What does that guy look like? What are his habits? How does he conduct himself? What does he actually do? What does he believe in? How does he think? Like you have to see it now, or you're never going to see it then. Like Broke Luke in fucking Southern Ohio saw this. Like I literally saw all of this happening, and now it's real. So you can't tell me it doesn't work. And the same thing that's going to happen now is going to happen when I have 100 million. And then however far I want to go after that,
Yeah, one of the things even when I was just breaking out of just living in New Jersey and just like a small town and stuff was I knew that I had to put myself in the environment of, people like here, this overall environment of being on the water, cool cars, cool yachts and stuff like that. I knew I had to embrace that and really align myself with that, because that was part of the person that I wanted to become and the person that I wanted to step into, essentially.
Yeah.
And without that, and without sort of being exposed to this stuff, it would be a lot harder to break through that limiting belief and set that new standard.
Yeah, it's a lot harder because it's really difficult for the mind to see something that it's never seen like with the eyes. So it's kind of a hack. Like if you get around this stuff, it's way easier to like get your subconscious to be like, oh, this is normal. Like me in 2021, I went on my first yacht. I think I was there with Jonathan actually. And I was mind blown. I was like, holy fuck, I'm on a yacht in Miami. I was literally starstruck. Now, like, and I don't say this in like a cocky way. I'm very grateful that we're here. I'm grateful you guys invited me. Like it's been a good day. But like I am not excited about this. This is like normal, which is what you have to get your mind accustomed to. Like I make IPO launch, the beta, right? We sold 10 spots at 10 grand. I took all the calls myself. I collected 50 grand in a day. I had 6 or 7 calls. I closed 5 of them, 2 no-showed. So I closed every single person that showed up. I felt nothing. And I don't say this to sound cool, but again, where is my level of expectation? It's hundreds of millions. I'm falling short of that right now. So I'm not satisfied. I'm not content. So I do 50K, I do 100K in a day. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I've got so much farther to go, Yeah. And that's also how you don't get complacent.
100%. I was telling the last podcast too, when I made my first bag 2021 as well, for crypto though.
Yeah.
And I was complacent for about 12 to 14 months, a long time. And I was wondering why I was so upset. I don't want to say depressed, but I was definitely not satisfied. And it's because I just wasn't surrounding myself with the right people. I just settled for what I had, which was the money. I didn't have the connections. I didn't have the new mindset shift. That's one of the things with crypto is you can make a bunch of money, but learn absolutely no skills in the process.
It's kind of a trap, bro.
Yeah.
It's kind of a trap. Like you give a lot of money to a guy, if it's not ready for it, it'll destroy him. 100%.
And now, the whole point of throwing myself into this environment, it wasn't until after I made that money and I was like, holy shit, I got to get out of Jersey and get somewhere else. Because I was supposed to move here.
Yeah.
I was coming here 6 months straight for like a week at a time. And then I went out to Scottsdale, and that's where I'm at right now. But yeah, it's crazy how much the mind will actually self-sabotage if you don't control it or actually have some
It'll destroy you. It'll 100% destroy you.
Have some sort of direction and just work towards it and walk into that individual that you see yourself as 1, 2, 3 years down the road, I should say.
Yeah, you have to.
But now in terms of I want to ask you a question instead of moving on to that. What do you think was the main driving factor to you wanting to be exactly where you're at today? Was it the pain you were feeling back at home?
Yeah, it was not a positive thing. It was a very negative thing. And it still is. Like Jonathan was joking earlier. He's like, "You're aggressive, bro." Like, yeah, I am. Like, not outwardly, but like internally, I'm angry all the time. And I've gotten a lot better. Like, I've healed a lot of that bullshit, which you have to do. Like, that's your responsibility as a man, even as a person. It's just like, you have all this shit, you got to figure it out in your own head. You can't let it lash out against people. But bro, it was pain. I was so sick of being embarrassed about being poor, seeing my mom cry, seeing my mom get beat on by my dad. That was enough rage for a lifetime. And then just all the other bad shit. It was like 10 years of just horrible shit happening. And there was no positive. Like, now there's bad stuff that happens, but it's like, oh, we had a big month, we have a big win. There was no wins. It was like, you're a little kid and you're going through this. You can't control it. Yeah. You can't affect it. It's not fair, but life isn't fair. So you either are going to use it or it's going to fuck you up. Like Sean Strickland is a good example. It fucked him up. Made him a successful fighter, but as a person, bro, he's a mess. He's a mess. I watch podcasts of his a lot. We have nearly identical, like the stories he tells, nearly identical. Like the story of him holding his mom's like legs at the stove, like to protect her from his dad. Identical stuff has happened to me. Like, I've seen it. A lot of shit. Like, our dad held guns to our heads, like crazy shit, bro. Wow. But am I a psychopath? Like, am I fucked up from it? No. I harnessed it and I used it to become way greater than the circumstances that I had, you know? You can't let it fuck you up or it will.
Yeah. I will always say this too, that anger and pain are the best motivators.
Yeah.
And one of the hardest points in my life was losing my dad unexpectedly, and that was like a 6-week process. I've talked about it before, but I'll bring it up again. Basically, jack of all trades guy, could do anything, worked at American Airlines on the airplanes, pretty much remodeled our entire house, and was just very, very smart.
Yeah.
Normal one day, 6 weeks later, he's in the grave.
Damn.
He got diagnosed with the most aggressive form of brain cancer. And watching him deteriorate in real time was the most painful thing I've ever experienced. And it forced me to grow up to be the person I wanted to step into.
Yeah.
To have the certain characteristics, certain personality traits. And I'm still developing as you are, because we're always striving to become a better version of ourselves. But yeah, everybody has that sort of backstory, and I will always stand by that anger is the best motivating piece and motivating factor, because bro, it was just me and my mom at the time. So I had to step up. At the time I was 19. And I was like, this is the moment where things change.
Yeah.
And since then, I mean, I know God works in mysterious ways. You don't know what he's doing in the moment, but down the road, he reveals things to you to understand it.
100%, bro.
So everybody has that pain point. It's exactly how you harness it as you worded, which will make or break you.
100%. And it destroys most people, which is sad because it's not their fault.
Yeah.
I don't know. I credit everything I have to God. I don't think I'm like some special whatever. Even if I tell myself in my head, it is all God at the end of the day, you know? Like, why did we get lucky to use it and some people go get on drugs and are homeless? Like, I don't know. But that's a personal thing.
How did your relationship with God evolve over the time, especially through the hardships?
It was always good. My mom raised us to believe in God 100%. We went to church occasionally. I wasn't always like a big fan of church. We went to a lot of weird churches where I'm from. So I'm not like your church going like kind of Christian guy, but I 100% believe in God. Like I've seen it, I've felt it. Like gun to my head, renounce God or die. I will. You shoot me. Like I genuinely, like you can just kill me. I know everything's gonna be fine. Like, this is all fake anyway. It's not real.
It's the Matrix, baby.
So, I mean, I always believed, and I was always very kind of mad. I was angry, like when I was younger, and it was in a curious way though. It wasn't like, oh, I hate you and then shun God. It was like, I'm mad at you. I'm still gonna try to stay close. Like, I still believe in you, but I'm so angry and I'm confused why you're doing this to me. But like you said, you don't know now, but you will know later, bro. Turning me into a monster. Like, now I look at it, nobody that gets into, and I don't mean this in an egotistical way, I mean this genuinely, no one that gets into business with me can go as hard as I can for as long as I can with as much energy and focus and just fucking drive. Nobody. Like, I don't care. Like, I may not be the most skilled person, I may not be the most intelligent person, but I am life's like ultimate tryhard, and it's because of that. Like, you know Renee Lacade?
I know the name.
So me and Renee fought one time, and like me and him and like Ecom Josh and a couple people, and he tweeted about this. You can look up the tweet. It was one of the best compliments I think I've ever got. We were wrestling, and I was exhausted, so I didn't rest. I would just spar somebody. They would rest. I would go spar the fresh guy, just over and over, because I wanted to get in shape. And he was like done, and I'm like, no, let's go. And I like drag him to the mat. I'm like, let's go, let's go, let's go. So he goes home and tweets, and he's like, Luke rubs people the wrong way, like he pisses people off online, whatever, which I did at the time. But he's like, now I see why he's successful. And he called me a tryhard. He's like, he is life's ultimate tryhard. And I'm proud of it, bro. Like, I'm not from money. I'm not from old money shit. I don't know any of that. My friend Rowan is from old money, and he's literally teaching me how to set forks and stuff at dinner. I have no idea. But no one is going to go as hard as I will. Whatever it is that I like set the intention on, and it came from that. It's a blessing.
Hard work will always beat talent.
Yeah.
Because the people that are talented have some sort of like feeling like, oh, I can just do it whenever I want kind of thing, and work at their own pace. But when you have someone that's a tryhard,
yeah,
they will ultimately beat you in the long term.
And the universe has a really funny way of rewarding tryhards. Like, if you look at fighters, you look at sports, you look at just anybody, there's a really weird pattern of, you're not the most skilled, but you worked the hardest, or you sacrificed the most, and you just fully dedicated your mind, your soul, your body, spirit to this thing. And they're usually very successful. And I think the universe and God, whatever it is, I think it rewards that 100%.
Quick little reposition. We're running out of light here.
Yeah.
Now we're on our way back. But I want to go back to when you were younger in terms of your come-up story and what you've learned so far along your journey, right? So if you were to tell yourself one thing at 16, what you know right now, what would it be?
Oh, man. Well, it worked out, so probably just keep going, bro. Like, it wouldn't be a skill thing, because obviously it worked, whatever I did. So I would just be like, yo, this is gonna suck, but you just got to keep going, and don't ever not believe in yourself. Like, as long as you believe in yourself and you're actually working and you're actually being skillful, I don't think you can fail. So it'd probably just be that.
I know some of the advice might sound basic, but some of the most beneficial advice is pretty just straightforward and basic.
It's what changed my life, bro. There's no cliche is cliche for a reason.
Yeah. There's no secrets, and so many people look online for some secret sauce that Iman Gadzhi is hiding from everybody. But it really is just that blunt. Don't be a bitch with stuff, and you just got to keep pushing and believe in yourself, because of course if you don't believe in yourself, then no one else is going to. And something else in terms of the bad moments you were going through, I know this is kind of going back a few years,
yeah,
but one of the points I wanted to mention, which is a very unique one, was the day where you got cheated on, and that same night, I think a deer ran into your car,
yes.
or you hit a deer. So that whole time was when you were not having money, rent was due.
Well, that was when I was in high school.
Okay, so that was before that.
That was before. That was the catalyst that kind of gave me enough, like, I'm pissed off enough to just full send, go try to become a millionaire with nothing, like no knowledge, nothing. It was literally just that.
So that was like your rock bottom.
That was pretty low. That was pretty low. Yeah, that was a bad night. I'm driving home from this New Year's party. New Year's in Ohio is freezing, right? It's like 0 degrees. So I'm driving home. I find out this girl that I had just was at the party with, 45 minutes away from my house. I find out that she cheated on me, and I'm like, okay. And at the time, bro, there's no red pill education. There's none of this. So I'm doing this on my own accord. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I just picked a bad girl, basically. So I find this out. I'm driving this $500 car that I worked all summer to buy. It's a Chevy Cavalier. And this deer just destroys my car. So it won't drive faster than like 10 miles an hour. So I'm like freezing to death. I don't have a coat for whatever reason. I was stupid. And I vividly remember I pull over on the side of the road and I just look up at the sky and start screaming at the sky. Like I probably looked like a crazy person, like a movie scene. And I was just like, what the fuck do you want from me? Like, everything's bad enough already. Like, why does this keep happening to me? That was probably rock bottom. And then literally a week later was the kind of initiation of like, oh, I could be an entrepreneur. So I worked at the YMCA in the town over from us. I just cleaned the gym and would play like on their computer and stuff. And this guy comes into the gym on his own accord. No, he worked there. No really previous conversation that gave him an inkling of what was going on. And he goes, he was very Christian. He's like, I feel like you need to read this book. And I'm like, okay. He's like, something's just, I don't know if he said God told me or what. He's like, I just feel like you need to read this. It was Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is very generic business book. But I read the book and I literally was like, oh my God, I can be an entrepreneur. Like, that's a thing. I didn't know it was a thing until then. So I read the book, and then that was like that week was the tipping point.
I feel like everybody reads that book, but it's such a life-changing book for so many people.
Yeah.
And for anybody that hasn't read it, I would recommend reading it. Now, when you're starting your entrepreneurial journey, still in high school at this point, what path were you trying to go down? Were you trying everything and anything?
Yeah, bro. Like, the first thing I ever tried was drop shipping, because that's all I saw at the time. And then it was flipping stuff from like TJ Maxx on eBay, like camouflage, like Under Armour. And then I was like, well, this isn't going to make me rich. And then it was the agency thing. Everyone was doing SMMA. So I was like, I'll start an agency. So I started that. And then that's what eventually led me into getting into sales, was I was selling my own deals. And I was closing people over the phone for like 10 grand to build them funnels or websites or webinars or whatever. And I was like, yo, I'm really good at the sales thing. And I didn't have sales training. Like, I was just going on my own, like making it up. So yeah, that's how I started. I tried everything, bro.
Yeah, because in the beginning too, you were actually selling guns out of the back of your car at a gas station, right?
I was.
How long? Yeah. How long were you doing that for?
Well, it was high school, like all of high school.
Like 4 years?
Yeah, just like sporadically. Like, it wasn't a business. It was like, we have these guns. People will buy them. I knew that, and I would put it on Facebook Marketplace, and people would meet me at a gas station, and I would just sell them a shotgun for like $200, $100. Yeah.
What were you doing with that money? Just reinvesting it back into your knowledge and yourself?
No, bro. I was in high school. I didn't know about knowledge.
Oh,
I didn't know shit.
That's right.
So it was like buying football cleats for football season, buying clothes for school. Like, we had no money. So if Logan and my brother and I wanted to play sports, we had to buy our own shoes. We had to buy our own bags. We had to buy our own everything. So it was like survival money. It wasn't knowledge money.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, then when you first started investing into yourself, it's after you closed that big deal for the webinar, right?
Yes.
So that one I know was a life-changing moment for you, where you had an oh shit kind of moment, like this is actually possible in terms of, I just did this. I've seen some people close cool websites or cool webinars for high ticket, but now I actually just did it. I actually have 10K right now in my pocket.
Yeah.
So from there was like the catapult from rock bottom to you having a oh shit moment, I got this, and starting your trajectory upwards.
Yep.
So starting from that point to where we are right now, what made you want to start something like Closer Cartel?
Well, it was what took me from zero to something, like it was sales. And it's not a story to sell courses. Like, genuinely, the thing that allowed me to move to Miami, allowed me to buy a car, allowed me to actually live life and not be in survival mode was sales. So at that point, like I said earlier about the IPO thing, I was like, what do I do? I started a sales agency and work with B2B businesses. And then I was like, no, I don't like this. I tried it. It wasn't fun. So I started training other kids to do what I did. We didn't even call it Closer Cartel. It was called like the Sales Training Group. And it blew up. And those kids got great success. So I was like, okay, we're good at teaching this. Because just because you're good at something doesn't mean you're good at teaching it. So I found out we were good at both. And then we were like, let's run with this. And Closer Cartel was born.
And what year was that?
2021.
3 years. You've been able to impact, what, thousands of people?
Yeah, we've had, I think, nearly 4,000 students. Yeah.
It just shows you how fast things can change.
Bro, it changes like that.
Because, yeah, you were into what? Was it 2018 or 2019 when you actually had internet access?
19. Well, 18, the end of 18, you move to school, like, because you graduate spring, you move in the end of the year. So it was 18 technically, but yeah.
So literally within 6 years, give or take, it was actually less for you because it was 18 to like 2021, 2022,
Yeah.
where you were already being successful, already had money, and then you actually launched.
2021, I made my first 100K in a month.
Amazing.
So 2019, negative $7 my bank account. 2021 made my first 100K in a month, and then subsequently million and so forth.
All from sales.
All from sales.
Cool. So as we're getting closer here, for somebody that's starting out right now, no matter what age they are, right? What are some of the most important character traits, perhaps mindset frames that you would give to them when they want to start learning sales, when they just want to start making some money online?
So sales-wise, you really need to understand people. Like, I sell a lot based on human psychology opposed to, oh, this script or this sentence or whatever. It's like reading people. So I can read people like a book. No matter what situation, it's so ingrained in me now that I know, based on honestly looking at someone, probably what they believe, probably the way they act, probably the things they do, like just from a look. So you need to learn human behavior, you need to learn psychology, you need to learn why do people do what they do, because if you understand that, you can manipulate that behavior. And manipulate isn't a bad word. Manipulate means to just change. It doesn't mean make someone do something bad. You are a manipulator as a salesperson in either a good way or a bad way. So if you can understand that, that's step one. Step two is just you got to practice a lot. Repetition is the king of all success in sales. So do sales calls, record them, watch the calls like you watch game film in football, and understand why did I mess up, what did I do properly, and then just do it again and again and again and again, and then land a really good offer. So send Instagram DMs, like go just watch my YouTube channel, to be honest, because this is a whole topic. But you land one good offer, even if you're decent, you're going to make a ton of money. The offer is almost more important than the skill in this kind of sales that we're in.
What are some of the best info product offers you've seen on the market?
Trading, crypto, Amazon, e-com, dating, fitness. There's so many, bro. Like there's really no one best. But the e-com guys print, like Amazon guys, they make a lot of money.
Yeah, shout out to Woody downstairs.
Yeah, Woody.
Well, I mean, we're about to start putting the boat away here. I appreciate you coming on. Of course.
Thank you for having me,
nice
brother.
Having on. I know we're running out of sunlight here and we're wrapping it up, but we made the most of it. So maybe next time in the summer we'll run it back.
I think we should.
We'll run it back and actually have a full-on pod in more detail with juicier questions, because I wanted to go into some other relationship stuff too, but we ran out of time.
Yeah.
But guys, as always, don't be motivated, stay disciplined, and I will see you in the next video.
Cut it.